It's definitely the East London. Fake it till you make it. And I don't mean that in the sense of like life, but everyone loves a try, innit? I'm Sherinee.
And I'm Azuma.
Welcome to the Mummy Diaries. It's a space where we talk about motherhood, chaos, culture, business, and everything else in between.
Because being a mum isn't just about raising children. It's about raising businesses, families, and sometimes even ourselves.
If you're tired, overwhelmed, need to be inspired, or just trying to figure it out, you're in the right place.
Welcome to the village. Okay, so talking about the Mummy Diaries, let's pretend I wasn't here and I wasn't sitting on this lovely chair. What would you tell me about the Mummy Diaries and why did you start it?
The Mummy Diaries. All right, so we'll go where I started it. I think the kids had done a madness all day. And I sat, and you know that minute where you're just having late night mummy time. I think it's about 2 a.m. And I was watching Law and Order or something, and I was just there and I was doodling, blah, 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 whatever. And then I had this epiphany and this thought, and I was like, the way I'm feeling now is overwhelmed, tired, busy, energetic, and all these you can't, do you know what I mean? Do you know when you're just in that place where you're just feeling everything at once, but you know you need to go to bed because you've got school run in the morning. So it was that. And I was like, do you know what? What would I benefit from having? And I wrote a list of loads of things, like someone to talk to, someone to help, like a little village. And that's what I started to see. So obviously, you know, I'm quite a visual person. So I saw like this village. And I actually drew it out on paper, actually. And what the village consisted of was people that could pour into each other, but not necessarily just mums that had children, mums that were managing staff at work, or they were entrepreneurs, or they were just mothering things. Because, you know, when you're a mum, you nurture something, you create something, you bring life to something. So I started thinking along them lines, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, what's this going to look like in the sense of a facilitation, organisation, a teaching, whatever it was. I didn't actually know what it was. And I just started drafting ideas, and then obviously phoned you the next morning. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got this sick idea, spoke about it, and just started developing it. And the place that I'm at now is that, like I said, the Mummy Diaries is something for women that are not just mothers of children. They mother things. They could even mother a space. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever it may be. But just for that support community, a diverse community from different backgrounds, different job roles, just from different environments. Like obviously, I'm from East London. I'm trying to just incorporate a bit of culture because East London is very cultured. Like I feel like we're one big mixing pot. And that's what I want the Mummy Diaries to be, one big mixing pot of loads of things that can just pour into people and just give us what we all need. It's really encouraged me. It's just having, like, you're like my red man to the method man. Do you know what I mean? Do you get it? It really helps when you've got someone that actually believes in the vision more than you believe in the vision. Because remember, that was back in 2021.
When I was in the trenches. Yeah? When I was in
that was 2021
the trenches.
when Isaiah was doing Up Madness.
Absolute madness.
But yeah, I don't know. It helps. And I think where we go from here is somewhere that I've actually never even envisioned. I didn't envision it back then. Being sort of like sitting here and discussing it. Do you know what I mean? But what I've always wondered is, what's it like for you being on the other side of my brain? Because I think I phone you with a lot of brainstorms and a lot of ideas and a lot of extravagance, and you just kind of track with it and you go with it. But what does that feel like?
I think for me, one, I love ideas. So an idea, I'm going to roll with it. I'm just like, yes, how do we make this happen? Like, I start picturing what we need to do to make it real. I think also for me, especially with the Mummy Diaries, like, you come in with a formalised idea. I'd already been through the Mummy Diaries with you and like what your intention is for the Mummy Diaries, because I'd had Isaiah in 2019, so my little person had him in 2019. Obviously, you walking me through the whole kind of like postnatal depression, all of that stuff. And the other day I remembered, like, I'd phoned you, his dad was round, my brother was round, and I'd gone for a walk and I phoned you and I said to you that I just wanted to keep walking. And you were like, where are you going? And I was like, I don't know, I just don't want to stop walking. I do. I remember what coat I was wearing. I was wearing pajamas. I'd gone to the shop in pajamas.
Mad. I keep
Yeah.
telling you, going outside.
I did not care at that stage of life. I didn't care. I went in this pink jacket. I was in these pajamas. It was raining. I considered sitting on the floor under a lamppost. But I was like, if I go back, they're going to know I've been sitting on the floor because my entire clothing will be wet. But I was at that level of I can't see a life outside of how I'm feeling right now. And you were on the phone with me. So for me, like, you'd supported me through postnatal depression. You'd supported me through Isaiah doing the most when I was in the trenches. And then also kind of that period of time when we was getting his assessment, all that kind of stuff. So for me, the Mummy Diaries, I'd already been through it and I'd already had that experience. So now you'd come with this formalised idea. I was like, perfect. Like, more people get to experience that village. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of support. Whether it was because they become biological mothers, whether it's because they were going through all sorts of other stuff, or that they were nurturing other things, I just realised how important it was to have a community.
Yeah, of course.
Because for me, that community is almost like the idea of someone else potentially who's further down the road, being that light at the end of the tunnel when you can't see a light for yourself.
Yeah, almost like I don't want to say like a nanny figure, but it's just that wisdom, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it's also that idea of like, if I'm in the depths of the trenches and there's someone else who has been through similar experiences on the other side, I'm like, oh, it's possible to get out of these trenches. I don't have to stay here.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? And maybe that person doesn't need to coach me through it, but maybe just me seeing them live their life, I'm like, oh, there is a life on the other side of where I am right now.
Yeah. But you know what the maddest thing for me is? Like, I never know how I got through it until I actually sit down and have to think about it. But at the time, I don't ever see a way out. And I always say to you, like, there's no handbook for parenting at all. Like, I'm freestyling it from beginning to end, and I've been doing it and I'm going to keep doing it. And I think for me, like, when I hear like what you've just said, like, I think of so many things throughout the day that I actually forgot about that time. But I think when I think about it and then I hear compliments from people like, oh my gosh, your girls are so amazing, they're beautiful, they're so polite. In my head, I'm thinking, these little, like, you don't understand what they're like. Do you know what I mean? But I don't want to say they're bad kids because they're not.
They're actually not.
I'm just like, as a mum, I'm like, how did I do that? Did I really do that? Am I responsible for that? And even like little things at home, because what I was thinking about this morning was I've been teaching Ezra how to use the washing machine and whatever, and it's mad. But I was thinking about when I had that conversation with you and you was like, how'd you get your washing to smell like that? And in my head I was thinking, I don't know, it's just something that I did. And obviously since mum, like, I've just been thinking about little things that she taught me and stuff, and I was like, actually my mum taught me that. How did she teach me that? She just used to have me there watching and observing and things like that. And I think that's what the real village is for me with Mummy Diaries, because, you know, sometimes it's really hard to be able to tell someone something. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously me and you, like, I'll phone you sometimes, I'll be like, yeah, cut that, don't do that. But we have that relationship.
We have that relationship, and you can
obviously
do that.
Mummy Diaries, it's a wider organisation, isn't it? It's a wider thing. So we're not going to know people on that personal level. So I've sat there and I'm like, okay, cool. So it needs to be something where they're actually able to see these things, and there's an actual non-verbal way of communicating, right? This is how we can help. This is what you can do. These are the things that make it better. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's been quite an exciting time, if I'm honest, because it just makes me also think that, like you said about Isaiah being like with his diverse needs and stuff and his autism, it makes me think it's not just restricted to just normal children. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And I think that's where my real passion for it came, because obviously the girls, their diagnosis and whatever. And I think it's hard. Like, there's only things that are available for normal children and normal parents. But what is that?
Absolutely. And I think it's so hard because I felt like when I had first got that diagnosis, there's all the emotional and like mental stuff you go through. And then coming to the place where you realise actually the child is no different from who they were yesterday with a diagnosis today. I've still got the same issues. But then trying to find communities who feel like you. Like, I don't want to feel like this is a prison sentence for him or for myself. 100%. I still want to be able to go out. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I still want to look after myself. Yeah. And I have a child who's got additional needs. And I think that intersection is really, really hard to find. I have a question for you. And I think this is probably coming from my experiences of watching your life. What does it look like and what does it feel like walking through the process of healing yourself, trying to become a better person while smothering. Because I feel like we've not been taught that you can do both things simultaneously. And you were probably like one of the first people I knew who I watched do that and not do it as like, I need to pull myself away from being a parent to heal.
Mate, it is the most unique experience I've ever had in my life. Because, how do I break it down? So there was, obviously, I got baptised in 2017. And with deciding to surrender my life to Christ comes a whole structural breakdown of who you've been. And I say structural because it's bit by bit. It's not just full on collapse and then you're dragging yourself up off the floor. It's literally piece by piece, day by day. And there would be times where the kids need dinner, they need school stuff, they need homework done, they need attention, they need something
from you.
And I just didn't have it. And I would just do it without thinking about it, if that makes sense. It's almost like being in a room with loads of noise and you're not really there mentally. Does that make sense? And I think what I found my biggest help was things like journaling, was things like listening to soaking music, meditating, positive affirmations, and reading my word. And I started to feel better inside. So then I was able to project better outside. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
But sometimes it was messy. Sometimes my kids would see me in bed for days. And it wouldn't even be crying or destructive mess in the house because like you've got this running joke that my house looks like an IKEA showroom. Do you know what I mean?
It does, and your idea of mess is not.
But that for me was normal. Do you know what I mean? And what it actually made me do was look at the times when my mum would be at work and we'd be at Nan's, but the house was still okay and we still had everything we needed. And I think that's how I was able to do it, just putting myself in my mum's shoes. Because you know when we're younger, like everyone has a beef with their mum. They're like, oh yeah, we weren't allowed to do this. And as kids, you perceive it differently. Do you know what I mean? But in that moment of needing to heal from bad relationships, whatever, a breakup of the family home with their dad, I think I just started to think about how it felt for my mum and then think about what she would do or what she did do in that time. And my grandparents were always there. They were supportive. So then it made me then lean on my mum and dad a bit more. Do you know what I mean? And my mum, bless her, she was amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like the kids were her handbags. So
literally,
I'd phone her and I'd be like, Mum, you need to come and get, these kids are just, and she'd be like, just get them ready, I'm coming. Do you know what I mean? So I think by tapping into those things and like I say, doing all the other stuff, it became easy. Because when my experience of becoming a Christian, what I found is the more you let go of control, is the easier it becomes to work through.
Yeah.
When you realise you can't control the outcomes of this, it just has to happen. And however it looks is however it looks. And what you need to do is actually deal with what the end thing is. Whether that is you can get up today and you can get ready and take the kids to school and that's all you can do, they have a takeaway for dinner. If it means that you can cook today, you can do a load of washing today, but you actually can't tidy up the house, then the house stays messy. Do you know what I mean? Like you just have to be easier on yourself. And that is the simplest way that I can say that I was able to deal with my stuff and still be a mum to the kids. Because obviously you've also got to remember, Zian hadn't had her diagnosis yet. Yeah. So I'm also battling with the school. Then just after that battle with the school, I got my diagnosis of my Sjogren's. So it's like, how am I trying to function this? Because to everyone else, I look like I'm going and I'm doing it, but internally my bones are seizing up. I haven't got the energy to do what I need to do with the kids. They want to go to the park, but I'm too tired or I'm depressed. but you've still got to make it work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So in a nutshell, yeah, that is how I freestyled healing and parenting. Yeah, you know, I make things up as I go along. It
works though.
Do you know what it is? I think it's definitely the East London. Fake it till you make it. And I don't mean that in the sense of like life, but everyone loves a trier, innit?
Everyone does love a trier. And I loved your trying, and it was very helpful for me. And I think you mentioned about journaling, and for me now, sometimes I read my journals back.
Mad.
And I'm like, one, who was that woman? Yeah. And two, like, how was she surviving through some of those things? Because some of the things that are in my journal are crazy.
Yeah, but this is where we're different, because I read my journal now and I think, Sherinee, you was tapped.
But you know what? Like,
you was tapped. What is that?
Yeah, but I think also, like, and we don't talk enough about this, especially as like mums, like some of the tapped that you're feeling is actually your kids and the stuff that they do.
No, babes, I was tapped.
No, okay. But when I'm telling you that my son is licking Queen Elizabeth line floor when I get on the train.
You need to tell the whole story.
Okay, so I used to have to get the train to get my son to nursery because we were actually mid-diagnosis. So didn't want to move him from that local authority. It was very complicated. Anyways, we get on the Queen Elizabeth line one day and he gets on his hands and knees and puts his head down and takes a massive lick of the dirty floor. And I can't remember what time of year it would have been, but I just remember the floor was like dusty and there was like this wet patch where he had like licked the floor. I never screamed at him so loud. He never did it again because of how much I screamed. And I didn't care that people on the train were looking at me. But these were the kind of things I was going through. We would get on the train and he would look at me and look at the doors. You know, as they start beeping, they would start beeping and he would look at me.
With the doors.
To do what? To jump off the train. Or he would, and you remind me about the buggy story the other day. Not only would he just stand up with the buggy attached to his back and just be walking, but he would also push his feet down and throw himself back, like on the bus.
Yeah, but I told you that buggy was too small anyway. That you saw the buggy. This is what happens, and this is what always happens. You saw the buggy. I said to Azuma, your child is 6 foot compared to that buggy. That buggy is not fitting your child in it.
However,
he said, no, I want it. Because you got the buggy. Fold. He was too big. He could stand up and walk with the buggy like it was a backpack.
Well, Dora the Explorer, here we are. But these, when I look back now and I think, of course I was tapped in my journal because these are the things that I was suffering with. The child was doing all sorts of stuff. Of course I was making bad decisions. Come on. What do we expect?
Oh, God.
What do we actually expect?
I think about Isaiah and I just think about him hanging. Was we on FaceTime?
We were on FaceTime.
You went upstairs and you was like, he's quiet.
I went to the kitchen.
You was like, why is he so quiet? And he was just hanging by his foot.
Because he had tried, let's tell the story properly. He had tried to climb out of his high chair. How he did that, I don't know. He obviously couldn't undo the straps. And so was hanging by his foot off the edge of the high chair. Like, honestly, I have so many things. One time I'd gone to my cousin's house and she was like, what's going on with your child? Because he was rolling her weights across her front room. Bear in mind, he's not walking yet. He's just crawling. And these are all the things that I was going through. And I think, of course, my journal was full of madness. Do you see what I mean? And I think I can look back now and laugh. At the time, I just thought, I've given birth to an Avenger and I don't know what to do with this. And I wish that I'd heard more stories of people who were going through those things. Because now when I tell people, they're like, oh yeah, my child did that. Oh, I didn't realise. I was like, yes, my child was doing wild things, which now makes sense that he's got a diagnosis that he does.
Honestly.
What was that?
And you know what? It made me realise like just how blessed I am, because I used to freak out. When Zian used to have her moments, like she would lay on the floor and spin in a circle.
Nothing.
Just screaming.
Light work.
Do you know? But then she'd be outside and she was the most innocent child.
Yeah.
And she wasn't ever rude or she wasn't ever violent or she wasn't ever like cantankerous, but she would just have the maddest outbursts. Like she ran up to the heater in my passage one day and because I told her she couldn't have something, she sat there and banged her head on the heater until it fell off the wall. I'm like, who does that? And like when you're going through that and like you're seeing these kids at the school in the playground and they're just all perfect and they're happy and they're getting along with it. You're like, what did I do? And my mum always used to say, like, this is what you get.
Did she?
Yeah, because apparently there's a story of, I think my mum had told me off. And she said that she sent me to bed. And before I went to bed, I think I called her and she come and stood at the bottom of the stairs and I pounced on her like a cat.
Like a cat.
Like a cat.
From the top of the stairs.
She was like, every time she used to do it, her exact actions used to be this. Like, she was like, you pounced on me. Yeah, so I'm like, and I definitely know, like, in my teenage years, I was hard work, man.
Yeah, I'm praying he's nothing like me as a teenager. I was dreadful.
I was hard work. And I'm like, do you know what? Like, obviously, Zia's 16 and she's so good.
She is.
I'm
really responsible.
I was outside, like, weren't going home. Like, my sisters were having to flush the toilet to unlock the door to let me in because I just wouldn't go home.
I'm so done.
Go youth club and then just find myself outside the block somewhere.
Do you think that makes you a more relatable parent, though?
I don't know about relatable, but I know my pity them can't take me for idiot. That's what I do know. Because and you know what? Ezra's the one that tests me. Because Zian used to, and I'll never forget. So there was one day, she come home from school and she had a full-blown fight, year 7.
Oh, I think I remember.
Full-blown fight. Like, these times I think she's beat up a boy and 2 girls, and then one next boy that tried to stop the fight. She come home, looked me in the face, hi mum, how was school? Yeah, it was all right. Then her teachers phoned me. So I'm like, Zian, what happened? What do you mean? I said, I've just got off the phone to your teacher. She said, you had a fight at school. Oh yeah, but they hit my friend. Sorry? I said, so is this what we're doing now, defending friends? She said, well, she couldn't fight, so I had to help her.
She didn't only help
And then
her.
she walked off. I'm like, who are you walking off from? Like, come here, I'm talking to you. She's like, yeah, I don't want to talk no more. So obviously, what used to happen with me a lot is I used to be like, who is this child talking to? Like, do you know who I am? Like, are you mad? Like, because I don't know, it's mad. It used to trigger this whole, when you're younger and you're like, I'm not a dickhead. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It used to trigger that whole thing. And so we're going back and forth now. And she sat on the sofa and she dropped back her foot and gave me one kick. Mate, I swear.
I do remember this.
I swear.
Yeah.
I phoned my mum. I said, nah. I said, you need to come and get this child, I said, because I'm going to thump her down in here. Honestly. And then from that, I was like, do you know what? There needs to be a different level of relatability, because me trying to relate on a level where you now think it's okay to talk to me in that way and try and kick up foot at me
100%.
because obviously it's too comfortable. I need to find another way in. And it was actually the creative route I went down with Zian. So
and she's good at that.
we related on a level of creativity, and I found that being able to break down things in a creative way for her has actually brought us to a place where, she don't think it's all right to draw back foot and kick me.
No. Or anybody else.
Or anybody else.
It's definitely a good thing.
I remember I was saying about journaling and writing things down. I just kind of encouraged us to do that. So we started doing journal entries together, little writing exercises and things like that. So, yeah. But random thought.
Go for it.
So you were saying before that when you was reading your journal and looking back and you think, and I was saying I was a bit tapped and mad and whatever. What would your diary entry of the week be for this week?
Lose weight, get in shape. Something's coming. No, I think if I was going to have a diary entry for the week, I think if I was going to have a diary entry for the week, I think this week is really like remembering how far I've come. And you've reminded me of that. I think, especially coming from an African background.
I'm a G, innit?
You are. Also, like, I had a dad who was a real perfectionist. So everything always had to be perfect. Like, you had to always be in control. Everything always used to have to be like in the right angles. And obviously then I've gone and had a child who's got ASD. Nothing is anywhere. Do you know what I mean? So I think this week my diary entry would really be about appreciating how far we've come. Like, his speech has come along really far. I feel like I'm starting to feel like myself again. That would definitely be my diary entry.
But you know how my brain works. I want to
it.
hear, dearest gentle reader.
Dear gentle reader. Yeah. Is it gentle?
I don't know if
Dearest
it's gentle.
gentle reader. Yeah.
So I want you to tell me as if you're read me your diary entry.
As I'm Lady Whistledown.
No, whoever you want to be Azuma, but I want to hear the diary entry.
Okay, so it would be, Dear Diary, this week we're going to focus on appreciating just how far we've come and not looking back with eyes of pain, but looking back with eyes of gratefulness.
Everyday deep poet. Are
Love
you joking? I'm sitting here thinking,
100%.
Dear diary, kids them are mad and I'm tired.
Okay, do it as Lady Whistledown.
No, all right, but let me do
Lady
a
Sherinee.
serious one then. It would be, Dear Diary, I am congratulating myself this week for actually stepping into something that I've been sitting on for a while that is too valuable to sit on now, and allowing myself to see that value in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I'd say by the end of the week, I'm going to give myself a target to continue to just push out the ideas that I've got unapologetically. Bang.
Nobel Peace Prize.
Nobel Peace Prize.
So here for it.
But yeah, it would just be more goals-based, my diary entry this week, because I feel like this week has been that I've definitely sat on a lot of things. Like, I think I just get random outbursts and I'll be driving and I'll visualise and I'll sit and I'll see, and I just tend to write things down. And I really have this week, I've sat and I've gone through my notes, like just like little phone notes and stuff, and I'm like, oh, a book title and this and that. Oh my gosh, snap, your book. I'm going to be really honest, I haven't read it yet.
I know you haven't, that's okay. Is anybody obliged to read it?
Do you know what it is? I think I need the digital version.
What, the one with me reading it? Because I've got that version.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an audible version.
Because you've got that gentle reader voice.
Thanks.
But me reading the book, mad.
I get it. Okay, so for the listeners then. So I wrote a book last year. It's called The Dressmaker's Daughter. You've obviously talked about like your mum not being here. My mum is also not here. My mum hasn't been here for over 20 years now. It'll be 21 years this year. She unfortunately was one of the victims of the 7/7 bombings. And so the book is basically about like the last 20 years of my life, a bit about her, and then more than just like grief, but yeah, all the other stuff that kind of snowballed after losing my mum, which is crazy. And I forget that. I do forget how much has happened since she died.
How did you find it writing the book? Because that's what I'm finding really difficult, to kind of know where to start. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like I've got the structure of what I want it to be, and I know what I want it to say. But it is that thing of just starting. How did you find piecing it together, and how did you know what was going to be chapter 1? And
funnily enough, my book started as journal entries.
Really?
Yeah.
Mad.
They started as me just journaling like things that had happened. So like journaling like the day we found out about her actually being dead, because there was a period of time where we thought she was missing. I journaled about like how I felt about us losing our home and that day, and like remembering all of the things that happened point by point. So it first came about by me just putting those journal bits together. And initially it wasn't going to be a novel. It was going to be a photo book with different like poems and different diary entries. And then I felt like, actually, no, I think this needs to be a full story.
Yeah.
And so then my thing was more about like, why should someone care about my experiences with my mum unless I take them back to the beginning?
Of course.
So it was really about like, how would I set the scene and introduce like where I've come from for the story to be important from the point that everybody knows about. So I think for you in your writing thing, obviously you've got like the different chapters, the different things you want to talk about.
Yeah.
But maybe starting at a place that would be important to the reader and not necessarily important
to me.
to you.
Because that's what I've found. I've got no problem writing the chapters, and I've written out quite a few chapters. And actually it's just putting it together and actually making it into the book. But I think I'm thinking about, where do I want to go with it? How deep do I want to take it? What audience do I want it to appeal to? Do you know what I mean?
I hear that.
And then I'm like, is it even one book? Because obviously the chapters that I've got, I was looking at the chapter that said, your heart is your home. Do you remember that chapter I was talking about? And I'm like, I can kind of mix this into the journal. You know, like a kind of, not like a Mrs. Hinch manual book. Did you ever see the Mrs. Hinch book?
Because we had all that stuff.
Right. So not something like that, but there was parts in that hearts and home analogy within that chapter where I'm like, I can actually use that in various different spaces. But do I just want to tie it to one book? Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense.
So that's where I'm at. I'm just kind of trying to navigate what I'm doing with it and where I'm putting it. And I'm definitely just chickening out of writing it because I am definitely nervous and thinking, wow, there is so much happening in I feel like it's just happened in a short space of time. Like every idea I've had, I've just felt like there's a rocket behind me that's saying, right, you got to do this now, you got to do that now, and I just feel like it's just a domino effect and it's all happening.
But you're capable.
I'm definitely capable.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely also a wimp. But we're pushing and we're doing it.
We are pushing.
Do you know what I mean?
I got a ton of questions. Quick fire. No. It's gonna be right. Okay. What's been your best experience in motherhood? First one that comes to mind.
My children's personalities.
What would you do differently if you could? And it's only one thing that you could do differently.
Listen to my children more.
If you could make any changes that would only affect you and not the kids, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. It would only. Why would it? It would only affect me and not the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. Pass. You answer that one.
I'd go out more.
Oh, but I'm
social. Outside. I need to be outside. What is the one tip you'd give to a new mum listening?
Be easy on yourself.
What tip would you give to a mother who has been in the trenches for a long time?
It gets better.
What advice would you give to someone who wanted to launch a new idea they've been sitting on for a long time?
Go for it.
What advice would you give yourself 5 years ago?
Can't say that on camera, but yeah,
Okay.
Make better decisions.
Make better decisions.
Yeah.
That's a good one. In 5 years' time, what would you want to be able to tell yourself?
That my mum's really proud of me. What would you tell someone who has a child with ASD? What advice would you give someone that has a child with ASD?
If you're comfortable, get a diagnosis. That's more for their support than for you. It doesn't change your child. And I would say get DLA and get support. What
What would you not take into parenting if you got to do it all over again?
Perfectionism. I feel like it made me really tired and it wasn't good for my child. I was missing who he was because I wanted him to be like the vision I had when I was pregnant.
Marks and Spencer's or Waitrose?
Marks and Spencer's, are you joking? Cleaning products, food, fruit, everything.
What's one experience that you would take away from childbirth?
That moment where you hear your baby cry for the first time. No, I loved it because that was when I really realised I had a baby. I wasn't just a pregnant person. I was now a mum. Loved it.
You're so cute. Quick fire round is not really my thing,
It's all right. We're going to get better. Practice
because I'm lost for questions.
You can ask me anything.
I think I need cards for this round. Yeah, we need cards.
We're going to get better at the quick fire round.
I think we should have a little pot
Oh, then we can put out little cards
with questions and we can pull them out.
I like that. We'll
Yeah.
do that for next time.
And they can be about anything. Because I think my brain was trying to think of...
Is it buffering?
It was buffering, babe.
It's okay. Okay, but thinking about the viewers and listeners and thinking about where we'd like to go, like what's the vision? Where we going?
What is the vision? Where we going? So, obviously, the wider vision for Mummy Diaries on a whole is that this is a whole movement, and there's retreats and there's kind of like safe houses, like mummy houses, and all these things, which are the things that we'll talk about in depth next time. But I think the vision for what I see for the listeners is that they can listen and hear something that they've either thought themselves, that they've spoke about themselves, that they've written themselves in a journal, in a diary, whatever, just a relatable, honest conversation, a safe space where no one ain't really judging. Like we're all just here trying to make the best of the situations that we've got and the jobs that we've been given and the role that we've got as a mum. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think if we can impact one person positively, do you know what I mean? Or just give them a piece of wisdom or insight into doing something that they've never done or that they wouldn't have thought of doing or that they didn't think they could do, then I think that's enough for me. Do you know what I mean? Because I am used to having a collective of people pouring into me, as are you. Do you know what I mean? So I just think we want to try and do, that's what we're trying to do. We want to do that. We want to pour.
That makes sense. And I think for me, like I love having my headphones on when I feel overstimulated by my small person or by my space. So I'm trying to focus on a task, and like being able to hear like conversations that enrich my life are really, really important. And I think that's part of my hope, outside of all the wider things that we're going to be doing that we'd love all of you lot to get involved with. I think it's about having conversations that kind of edify and uplift you.
And I just think it's nice to have conversations, like real life conversations that are not about learning how to cook a piece of chicken on TikTok or how not to wash your meat, or do you know what I mean? I think that there's not enough of these conversations, and I just want to create that resource and that space.
And now we have it.
We agreed.
Yeah.
Whistle down.
It's your first Mother's Day without your mum. You know I was going to go there.
I'm definitely going to.
No, you're not. You're going to be okay. And if you cry, that's okay. So conscious that it's Mother's Day, and Mother's Day is a day that the world is celebrating mums, but that can be very different and very difficult for us when you're on the other side of not having a mum, even if you are a mum. And we wanted to do this short segment to think about all of the other women out there that might be mums that don't have a mum to celebrate, or have a challenging relationship with their mums and not necessarily have the kind of relationship where they can celebrate with them. But also in remembrance of a very special mum, which is your mum. And we were talking about laundry earlier in the episode, and it made me smile because I've still got the dress that you gave me. And honestly, it still smells like fresh laundry. And I take it out every so often so I can sniff it because it is amazing. But your mum was an incredible mum, and I think she really did shape you and your sisters in such amazing ways. If you could pick anything that you're going to do on Mother's Day to kind of remember her or celebrate her, what would that be?
Do you know what? It's funny. I had this conversation with my sisters this morning. She was like, what are we doing for Mother's Day? And like every year, traditionally, we go to my nan's or we go to church with my mum, or whatever my mum wants to do. And this year, I'll be honest, I'm blank. Like, and it feels really bad because obviously I'm a mum and my kids are cute. Like, they've definitely saved their money, which I gave them to buy me a present. But I don't even know if I want to do that. Do you know what I mean? But then that's selfish because I'm taking away from them being able to express their love for me. But I just don't.
It is an odd space to be in, and
I just think it's. I'm still not used to it. I still go to find my mum now. Do you know what I mean? It's only like, what are we now? March. It's only October. I still go to phone her. Like the other day, I went to phone her, and I can't. So, and I've heard my friends talk about like what it feels like because their mum's not here. I've heard you talk about it. Do you know what I mean? But to live it is mad. And like, me and my mum were probably like cramp twins. Like, we would go at it. Do you know what I mean? But love her same way, and her not being here is it's mad. But it's also the reason why I'm doing this, and I'm doing it now.
Yeah, because
not having her has just shown me that life's too short. Like, you don't. Like, you got to think, my mum was here the Tuesday. She went on holiday that week and then she never came home. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, she left me saying to her, yeah, boom, I'll see you when you get back.
Well, I said to your mum the last time I saw her, I was like, yeah, when you come back, then we'll catch up properly.
Do you know what I mean? And then having to, it's just, I don't know, it just clams me up still. It's really hard to talk about. I try and find words for it, but I can't because I feel like I'm just smothered with an internal clenching.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because the reality, it was traumatic. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if I'm ready to celebrate that. Like, the only thing I know that I'm guaranteed going to do is go and bring flowers and dress the grave. But then even that's mad because I just want my mum.
I hear that. And sometimes I have such envy for you having a grave to dress because I don't have that. because my mum wasn't buried here. But I think what I will say, being a little bit further down the journey than you, is that everything you're feeling is normal. My mum had been dead like 15 years at one point, and I woke up from a dream one day and thought she was still here and went to go and tell her we should go out, and then realised why we hadn't ever done this thing because of her just not being around. And I think people don't talk enough about what it's like to have to still mother when you don't have your mum. You know, the other day Isaiah was asking me where my mum was, which is his new thing, to constantly ask me, where is she? And I have to keep having that conversation with him and explaining to him all of the people that are not here anymore. Do you know what I mean? But I will say this. I will say that whatever you decide to do on Mother's Day, whether that is to sit in bed or it is to do something, it's all okay. And you're not obliged to do something for your girls because that's what they may want. What they actually benefit from is seeing you walk through what you're walking through and realising that you can come out on the other side, even if that means that you're dancing with a limp. Yeah. So to all the mums out there that may be celebrating Mother's Day, maybe with a broken relationship with your own mother or a mother that's not around, we completely understand and are walking through our own experiences on Mother's Day and what that may or may not look like. My kind of quick tips, being someone who's done 20 Mother's Days without my mum, would be avoid the shops. There's all these cards and all these other things. That is really, really annoying. If you need to, just let friends and family know. If you want to have a day that's quiet, if you have a particular way in which you want to celebrate, then try and plan that from early, but not tie yourself to it in case you wake up on the day and you don't feel like doing it. But ultimately understand that you carry your mother with you in your heart every day and not just on Mother's Day.
That's it. I love that. I think that's amazing. What I will say after all that is, like, obviously, like I said, me and my mum are cramped twins, but one thing that I came away from was this, like, no matter how hard or easy a relationship might be with your mum, don't spend so much time fighting to get someone to love you the way that you want them to love you. Just love each other for who you are and what you are, because you can waste so much time. And that's the only regret I have, being that rebellious teen, just wasting so much time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that would be my takeaway. Just enjoy and love each other, man. Your mum's gonna moan, your mum's gonna argue, she's always gonna tell you what she thinks that you should do and what you shouldn't do. But do you know what? She's the only person in your life that is gonna love you unconditionally for who you are and for what you are.
100%.
And just love that, live that, and be that. That's what I would say. If today's episode resonates with you,
share it with another mother who needs it.
because a village only works when we put it together.
Welcome to the Mummy Diaries.